everyone. In today's video, we are going to learn how to write an informal letter. An informal letter comes in the English language paper for 10 marks for classes 9 and 10. Let us see what are the important guidelines we need to keep in mind. So what do you mean by an informal letter? It's a letter you would write to your parents, to your relatives, or friends. When you write an informal letter, these are the things you need to keep in mind. First, the format carries 2.5 marks, the content carries 2.5 marks, and 5 marks are for expression. So when you say format or the layout of the letter, what are the important things you need to keep in mind? What should your format include? So here you have a breakup of the format. Your format must include a from address, that is your address, for half a mark, the date for half a mark, salutation for half a mark, and the subscription along with your name for 1 mark. So now let's understand how we go about writing the letter. So when you start writing the letter, you begin with the from address. As you must have seen in the previous video for formal letters, in an informal letter also, when you write the address, do not use any short forms. Also, make sure that your address is at least of 3 lines. It's better to start your address from the specific and move to the general. For example, you could start with the number of the house, the name of the building, the street, and the town, followed by a pin code. If it is the from address and you are writing, it could be the address of your home, it could be the address of your school or the hostel. Next comes the date. The date has to be written along with the month and the year. So look at this example. This is how you need to write the date. The month should be written in full. In this case, I've written September, so do not write the short form SEPT. No short forms. Write an authentic date. Ideally, you write the date on which you are writing your language exam and the year must be mentioned. So 12th September, 2020, full stop. This TH or RD or ST, let it rest on the same line. Now we come to the salutation. How do you greet the person? So because it's an informal letter, if you're writing to your friend, you could write Dear John. If you're writing to your parents, it could be Dear Father or Dear Mother. Do not use short forms like Dear Dad, Dear Mom. If you're writing to your grandparents, write Dear Grandmother, Dear Grandfather. Avoid writing Dear Granny, Dear Grandpa. If you're writing to some relative, it could be Dear Uncle Dan or Dear Aunt Rose. The idea is, even though it's an informal letter, you are formal in your salutation. Next, we come to the body of the letter. When writing the body of the letter, there are 3 things you have to keep in mind. The body of the letter will have 3 parts. There'll be an introduction, there'll be the body, and a conclusion. So when you look at the body of the letter or the content, your 2.5 marks come from here. So the first thing is, read the question carefully. Underline or keep in mind what exactly is asked in the question. You need to answer every aspect of the question. There are 2.5 marks for content. That means you have half a mark per point and you need to give at least 5 points on the topic. When you're writing the letter, write in paragraphs. Stick to the margin to show the change of paragraph. Do not use any colloquial words or do not use slang. Do not use contractions. Do not use numbers. Write in a formal way, though it is an informal letter. And a word of advice, do not begin your letter with expressions that have been overused or that are considered as cliched. For example, avoid starting your letter with sentences like, hope my letter finds you in high spirits, or I'm writing this letter, or I'm in the pink of health and expect the same at your end. If you write your letter like this, if you begin your letter with expressions like these, which are very often used and most commonly used, you give an impression that you are an average student. So avoid beginning your letter with these expressions. Then you come to the subscription or to the signing off. Because it's an informal letter, the best way to end your letter is write yours affectionately. Make sure that the spelling of affectionately is correct, comma, and only the first name. Do not put an apostrophe S. If you put an apostrophe over here, this will be marked wrong. Do not write your name in capital letters or do not put a signature. That is not accepted. If there's any mistake here in the spelling of affectionately or there's a comma, then you do not get 1 mark for this entire section. There is half a mark for the subscription and half a mark for the name, but you get this full 1 mark only if this entire section is correct. So what are the things you'll need to keep in mind? What are the points you need to remember? When you're writing an informal letter, do not use a mixed format. Basically, what you have to keep in mind, the subscription and the from address must be on the same side. Ideally, the best thing to do is keep your entire letter left aligned. Remember, there's a correlation between the essay grade and the marks given for expression 5. So 2.5 are for the format, 2.5 are for the content, and expression carries 5 marks. And this is closely related to how much you have scored in the essay. Hence, it is important for you to write good compositions. One way of ensuring you write good compositions is by cultivating a good reading habit. Now is a good time to catch up on some reading. Your marks for the letter will be shown as under format, content, and expression. So this is the letter that was asked in the 2020 ICSE English Language exam. The question was, you have changed your school recently. Write a letter to your friend in your old school telling him or her what you liked about your new school, but also what you miss about your old school. So before you attempt the letter, first thing, understand what the question is saying. So you are writing a letter to your friend. The friend, he is still in the old school. Your letter should include what you like about your new school and what you miss about your old school. So keeping all these things in mind, you need to have at least 5 points, because 5 points means you get your 2.5 mark, half mark per point. So this is the way I have written the letter. I'm sure you'll be able to write better letters. So when you're writing your informal letter, you begin with your from address. So the address is in 3 lines, progressing from the specific to the general. So you have the number of the flat or the house, the name of the building, the name of the street, the name of the town, followed by a pin code. Then you have the date, it's written in full. The month is written in full. Take note of the punctuation. The TH is resting on the line. Then you have the salutation, Dear Raj, and you can begin your letter straight away. Life has been hectic since I moved to Nagpur. There's no need for you to write, I hope you're fine, I hope you're in the pink of health. These are very overused expressions, avoid them. Then the letter continues, the challenges of adapting to a new school were overwhelming. Now I feel settled and hence I thought of writing to you. Now remember, the question says, write some things you like about the new school and some things you miss about your old school. So my new school, the name of the school is a highly reputed school with excellent infrastructure, an experienced teaching faculty, huge playgrounds, and Olympic-sized swimming pool. So you have mentioned at least 3 to 4 points that you like about the new school. But remember, we also have to write what you miss. So we continue in the next paragraph. However, I dearly miss my old school and friends like you. Some of the things, the aroma of the canteen, the interclass matches, the organic farming club activities. So again, you have taken care to mention what you miss about your old school. And then you convey your regards, you conclude the letter, sign off, yours affectionately, comma, and remember, you only write your first name, no capitals and no signature. That's all. That's all you need to write. If you have taken care to mention all that is asked in the content, you get your 2.5 marks. So I hope with these pointers in mind, you will be able to write good informal letters that will help you to score a higher mark, a higher grade. Thank you. Happy learning.